What's going on, my beat builders? It's a great day to be alive. Now, this video is going to be about different trends that's going on in sync licensing. This may help you get a step ahead in your placements and see where the industry is going so you know what kind of music that you need to be making. And if you're not making this kind of music, it's okay. Other music is still popular, but these are things that I've seen and other reports are reporting that are the trends in sync licensing. Number one, the rise in global rhythms and diverse music. Now, one that comes to mind is Afro beats. That stuff is just exploding. Now, if you're mainly in the US and you don't hear Afro beats that much, it's okay. Even if you're in a PRO from the United States, you can have your music in other libraries from around the globe. So if you're not making this music, it's okay. But if you're already making that music, be on the lookout for more libraries that are looking for the Amapiano, Afro House, the Afro Tech, Afro Beats, and also Latin music as well. Global music is just becoming bigger and bigger as more people want to listen to diverse types of music and more diverse type of shows are being made. I know when I be watching Netflix sometimes and scrolling through, I'm seeing a rise of all kind of foreign language things that's popping up. Now, it's new to us, especially if you're in the US, but this stuff is just getting bigger and bigger with the popularity of those foreign films that you might not have access to or be thinking about all the time. Number two, the rise of retro styles and vibes. Now, music always goes in a cycle where now it's funny because the old school is now being used. And when I mean old school, I'm talking about like 90s, right? I'm 40 years old and now I'm hearing little kids. I just did this 8th grade graduation doing a photo booth, and their stuff from the 90s that I grew up with in my teens is now their old school. And then, of course, you got the traditional, what we may think of old schools like the soul, the old R&B, funk, disco. So that stuff is on the rise of sound. And I definitely, it's crazy that stuff is coming back, but that's just how music is. We just recycle, we take old things and refresh them for a new time. So think about that when you're making your albums or your cues and pitching, that it's a rise of old school type music. Number three, the rise of indie and emerging artists. Now, if you're a rapper and producer, this is a great thing for you as more libraries are looking for those indie artists. One, indie artists are cheaper to acquire through licensing deal versus having to pay the big name artists to license their songs and stuff. And plus, it's just great to hear new music that you don't always hear in the mainstream. There's a lot of great artists out there, they just don't get the exposure, and getting your songs on TV, video games, or whatever it is great exposure. So being an indie artist is really great right now. And it's, I think, why this trend is emerging too is because all the talk of AI. Now, you can understand that AI could take over the sync game with the fact that you can just write prompts to make music, but a couple of companies are in a big lawsuit about this, so who knows how long this AI music will stay around. But I think people will always want that human type feel regardless, man. You just cannot beat that one-on-one connection. So if you're an emerging artist, this is great news for you. Trend number four, reimagined covers. Now, this has always been a thing. This is almost like the same thing as the old school, right? Like you have a modern I can't even talk, a modern twist on old music. So if you're making the old covers, right, think about David Guetta with that I'm Blue, right? That's like a cover, but he made an EDM dance track with it. So think about if you're making hip hop, if you can take something that sounds old and make it new. And again, this goes along with the nostalgia vibe and stuff like that. But people are looking for covers to remix to play in their shows to give that nostalgia feel in their commercials, their TV shows and movies. And the last thing that's on the rise is interactive media. Now, virtual reality hasn't taken over that much, but it's getting better and better. And there's a lot of interactive media out there that exists that you're probably not even tapped into. The first thing I think of when it's sync licensing is mostly TV, and that's because that's what I've been dealing with for all these years. But there's so many other types of interactive media, whether it's VR, whether it's video games, where it's corporations who need sound effects, right? Like think about audio branding. When you think about Netflix, that click click, someone had to create that, or whatever other kind of companies that have a sonic branding type. So there's other ways than just having your music get placed in TV. That's just a common way. So you might have to dig a little bit to find those interactive things, right? Like video games. And you think of video games, there's a lot of indie publishers out there who they might have a low budget and they'll pay you something. And even if they don't pay you much and it's not a lot of work, you can get your feet in the door learning how to sound design and do things like that. And you never know, the game might blow up or become very popular. I mean, it's a low barrier entry to get into the game because these little small development channels, they don't have that much budget and they don't have that much attention, right? Everyone's trying to go for the big dogs. If you think about a video game, you're probably thinking like EA Sports. You want to be in the next NBA 2K game, which would be a nice placement, but there's a whole bunch of little ones, the minor games that they need stuff, and other VR stuff that's coming to the upfront. You just have to do your research, and that's just a part of the sync game that you can't just create all the time. You have to do some behind the scenes researching about what's up and coming so you can be in the forefront when things hit that, oh, we're looking for this type of music. Well, you've already made it and you've already ahead of the curve. I hope these tips helped you think about how you're going to reimagine making your music. It's always good to stay ahead of the game because just like fashion, music tastes and trends change all the time. So let me know what kind of things that you're working on, or something, hey, you may even notice just watching TV, even if you're not in a music licensing company yet, or music publishing company, you still might be noticing some different things. So let everybody else know in the comments what you're noticing so we can all win in this sync licensing game. And if you need more tips and tricks about how to get your music into TV shows, check out one of these videos.